All right, folks, Happy New Year and welcome to Edge of Steps. Steps for Success. One truth, one action, one step forward. Today we're discussing how to find legit scholarships in 30 minutes. Remember, when we talk about being, knowing, and doing, you don't need more motivation. What you really need is direction. So as we're talking about the B, I got a question for the squad here. Why do students often assume scholarships are random or not for people like them? And how does that belief stop them from even starting the search?
I think that's because not having a true understanding of what scholarships are and their purpose. So we're having that thought instead of getting the education and learning more about scholarships, they making those assumptions. And so therefore they just don't go after them. And how does that belief stop them from even starting a search? Again, it just discourages them because they feel like their circumstances wouldn't be rewarded a scholarship.
That's good. That's the same with him. It's like most of them know what it is. They think it's only for people who get or the straight A's. The person who has the top valedictorian in class. Like nobody else gets it but them. But if they find out that it's all type of scholarship out there for anything, they'll change their lives forever.
Yeah, definitely. I think earlier when we were talking, Festus mentioned the difference between merit-based and needs-based scholarships. And I think that's one of the big issues is students have a general idea, right? They hear scholarship and they think, oh, I'm not going to get it because I don't have the best grade. They just think it's the student with the highest GPA, the student with the highest grades. That's the student that's going to get the scholarship. When in reality, you have merit-based, so it's not even just your grades. It could be activities or clubs or organizations that you're in. And it's also based off of need. And I think once students have a clear and better picture of what they can actually get scholarships for, that'll really help them understand that, oh, maybe I do have an opportunity to get this. I remember, and I was in high school 20 years ago, they were telling us that they had scholarships for folks that were left-handed. They had scholarships for folks that wore glasses. They had all these different scholarships for different people. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not just for this or that. Now, granted, I was so far out of it, I wasn't even paying attention to that. But it started to make me think that, okay, it's not just the student with the highest grades, right? Even when you look at a lot of businesses that hire for out of school, a lot of times they don't really look for the A student. They look for the kind of the middle of the pack student who has a lot of drive and what they want to do. So just some things to think about. Let's talk about knowing real quick. Legit scholarships live in trusted systems. So I want to ask y'all, if you were looking for a scholarship right now, what would make a source legitimate? What would make a legitimate source if you're looking for a scholarship?
To start, first thing I would do is speak to anybody that's in that space, such as LYS, for example. I try to get into the LYS app or make an appointment through WhatsApp, communicate with you guys, or at my school. If I'm in high school, I'm a high school student. I'm going to go talk to the counselors, ask them for their guidance. What are particular programs that offer scholarships so I can start looking into that, as well as if I have family members that are part of any kind of program, such as sororities or fraternities, any kind of program or business most often have some type of scholarship. Now, the something that would depend would be if you qualify for those particular scholarships based on what those programs or companies are looking for. But I would say that if I have an interest in sneakers and I like sneakers, I'm gonna look up Nike. Hey, does Nike have any kind of scholarships, Adidas, so on and so forth? If I love writing and journalism, okay, what are the journalism companies that are out there? Are there any scholarships for that? So these will be some good things to start. But first and foremost, speaking to people. If any college that you're interested in looking in, they have a financial aid office, give their financial aid office a number, a call, ask them as many questions as you can, and they can lead you in that path or direction. Also, shoot, fast food. If I love Burger King, I remember Burger King was giving out scholarships. Or if I love to eat Burger King, hey, does Burger King got scholarships? What you got to do? So just really just being open-minded when it comes to those scholarships.
Have it your way over there. I'm like, hey, whoever got the scholarships, just look. I look online. I would say back in the day, probably some newspapers. Now they got everything. Just go online and just pretty much type in scholarships. I would go to check, like y'all, like he said, go to y'all, go to, I always say BARD, but it's called Gemini, ask for scholarships. What type of scholarships are being given out this year in 2026? I'm Black or African American male. What scholarships can I apply for? And they'll list it. And just go apply for everything. Try to get as much money as you can. That's what I said.
Yeah, definitely. I would say start local. Start local. Last I checked, there are quite a few scholarships where they have very few participants or people who apply for those scholarships. So make sure you start local. I love all the advice and tips that y'all gave, but keep it close to home. There's a lot of good opportunities. Make sure you talk to your we call it the grad center, the career counselors and senior counselors there at your school also for some really useful sources. And I'll be sure to make sure that we put some sources on the bottom of this particular podcast for students who are looking for some of those. So for our do portion, I got some homework for you. Use one trusted scholarship database, share findings with an adult. Start early, 5 minutes, write down your graduation year. Decide, I will look for scholarships every month, not just senior year. Next thing, make sure you find one trusted source. You can go through your school financial aid office, your high school counselor scholarship list, a professional organization and connected to your intended major. Next thing, the third thing, use one scholarship search tool carefully for 5 minutes. FastWeb, CapEx, or scholarships.com. Next thing, action 4, prepare to win, not just find scholarships. Open up a notes app or document and write your intended major career interest, one personal experience connected to it. And lastly, identify one recommender, one person who could recommend you for a scholarship. This could be a teacher, a counselor, a coach, or a mentor. Write their name down and plan to ask 2 to 3 weeks before any deadline, okay? So, folks, remember, steps for success exist to help you take action, not just get information. If today's steps helped you move forward, share this episode with a friend who needs direction, and make sure you subscribe so you can keep building momentum one step at a time. Remember, there are legitimate reasons to not going to college. There are no legitimate reasons to not getting an education. For Dr. Jamar Crawford, Daniel Hill, I'm Ole Sharonki. We'll see you next week. Take care.